Okay, hey everybody. My name is Kelsey Kohs, Professor Kelsey Kohs here at Divination Academy. If you haven't been with us here before, I do always do a little bit of housekeeping to let you know about us, who I am, and the class that we're doing tonight. So tonight is actually a bonus class from my Dark Goddess Devotional class. This one will be a little bit shorter than my normal ones because this is a big topic, but it doesn't involve like any invoking or anything. That's something that you guys can do all on your own. So this will be a little bit shorter than my normal classes, but we're going over the triple goddess tonight. We're going to be looking at her through the different ways that she is throughout culture, throughout history, and her as an archetype energy, which is really how typically most people use her. You can see her in other forms as well, but typically that's how most people see her. Most of what I discussed tonight is going to be coming from more of like a European, more Middle East, also a lot of Wiccan influence. If it comes from any other cultures or anything like that, I will specifically point that out to you guys like tonight so that you know where things are coming from. So if you haven't been with Divination Academy here before, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We are a pagan academy. We believe that all education should be free and accessible to all. So that's what we do here. Um, the best way to get in contact with us is going to be through our Facebook page, which give me one second. I didn't pop that up for myself. I will get the link here for you in a second. So, but that is going to be the best way to get in touch with us. If you want to enroll with the Academy after this, we would absolutely love to have you. And when you do enroll, you get access to our private Facebook group. You get access to our community chats. You get access to our website study guides. You get access to certification programs, apprenticeships, all that fun jazz. So definitely, like if you love this class tonight, definitely check us out. Another way that you can find us is also our YouTube page. So that's where all of our classes get posted. I do have some of my classes on there now. So if you missed any of mine, go check out the ones that are there now. I think the ones that are missing right now are Lilith and womb healing. So we're still like those ones are the ones that I have done that will get put on there as well. If you missed those. If you didn't attend the archetype class, I did already do an entire class that I went very detailed in what archetype energy is as a whole. And I broke down all the different archetypes throughout our psychology, spiritually, all of that. So definitely go check that one out. That is posted on the YouTube page. And then the other way that you can find us and get in contact with us is going to be our website. Every single student, if you haven't checked this out, please go and check it out. Um, with on our website, we have so many resources available to you. We have PDFs, we have bibliographies for all the places, all the different books, and all the different places that we pull our resources from that all of our professors cite. So definitely go check us out. I hold on, I'm checking the chat. There's something going on in the chat. Is the study guide a PDF? I have not figured out how to do that yet because I make it on one computer, email it to myself, and then it gets converted on a different computer to get to you guys. So I'm figuring out how to get it in both a Word document and a PDF. When I figure that out, I will let you guys know. I'm trying to figure that out. But as of right now, it's just in that docs form that I have that pops up in the Google Drive. Is there anything else in the chat? No. Other disclaimer, little housekeeping that I do, I always kind of give a little bit about myself. So again, I am Professor Kelsey Kohs. I'm a newer professor here at the Academy. I am currently teaching classes on dark goddesses and invoking them and channeling them for you guys. I'm also teaching classes on magic, basics, and witchcraft. I do all of our moon ceremonies and rituals and also our Wheel of the Year Sabbats. So that's where you will see me for all of those. I have been a solitary practitioner for about 15 years now. I am a gray practitioner. I consider myself a mystic. I pull from every single pantheon, many cultures, many religions. I have learned from many different masters on different topics, including shamanism, witchcraft, magic, different pagan religions, psychology, lots of different things. Like I said before, I'm a gray practitioner, so everything that I come at, I do come at from both sides. I don't view things as good and bad, evil. I view things just energetically. So when I am discussing things, that is how that is going to come across to you guys. So, with all the disclaimers and housekeeping, any questions before we get going on the triple goddess? Hi, Jody. I see you up there. Yay. And Honey's here. Yay. Oh, and Jalinda's here again. I have regulars and I like it. Just gonna say, I love it. I love that you guys come to my classes. It makes me so happy. And I see new people too. Yay. I love having new people. Yay. Awesome. Download as a PDF underneath the file. Okay. I'm gonna learn how to do that myself so that I can just send you guys both copies too. Thank you for that information. For me being the generation I'm from, I should be better at technology than I. Oh, thank you, honey. I love that. Oh, thank you. Aha, I knew I was. That means that you got another date, didn't you, Delinda? Awesome. Okay, so now, triple goddess. So I am going to do one disclaimer before we get going. I am not teaching this as Hecate, as the triple goddess, the end all be all triple goddess. I will talk about Hecate for maybe 2 minutes. So if that is how like you view her, I just want to let you know, like I am teaching this very differently. I'm teaching this as like the coming at it from the archetype, from the different views and culture that it comes across in history, it being like Hecate was very ancient. She was used ancient. But like this whole like trifecta thing is actually very neo-pagan, it's very Wiccan, it's very modern. So I'm gonna go over all this different ways that the triple goddess has been, different goddesses that you can use to make up the triple goddess, some that are common, ones that I personally use, because of course my path is very different. So I've come up with different ways to use this, and I will always tell you guys that. Um, so let's dive into the triple goddess. If I all get wonky on the screen, please just let me know. I wasn't able to print my study guide, so I'm going to be flipping back and forth between screens. So if I look funky, just unmute yourself. Oh, I love that, Jody, that you can do that. If you can like send those to me, I would super appreciate that because then I can just post it everywhere in both. Love that. Thank you. Okay, so the triple goddess symbol, it can represent multiple different things, and I will talk about the multiple different things. The most common representation that you're going to see of it is going to be the representation of the mother, maiden, and crone. It is a very ancient symbol. It's been known throughout humanity for thousands of years. The most early that we can date back to artifacts is actually 10,000 BCE. Um, it's formed, like I said, it's formed across many, many different cultures. It's long before Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. It's always been associated with goddess worshipped, with the triple goddess. And goddess worship actually used to thrive above, like, as the most, like, deities that were worshipped more than even their male counterparts. Um, in many religions, like the feminine is presented, as stronger, and then throughout history it ends up becoming more diminished because of other religions and because of culture and things, patriarchy and all that fun stuff. Today we're seeing a huge resurgence in it. I think obviously it's going to be tied to the Me Too movement. We have huge feminism movement, so we're seeing that a lot. Also with it being super directly tied to Wicca now. This is newer actually, since like the 1960s. So this is actually like, it wasn't super common. This wasn't new. This wasn't like in the beginning with Wicca. So the fact that it's tied to Wicca, which Wicca is, I feel, a lot of people's gateway into paganism nowadays and into witchcraft and into magic. I feel like that's kind of like their first kind of like stepping stone. A lot of people stay there, which is amazing. I personally did not, but a lot, like I have my differences of the path. If it's your path, I love it and I love it. But most people, I feel like Wicca is like their introduction. So I feel like that's also why the triple goddess becomes such a very common symbol and why a lot of witches are using it, because it is very closely tied to Wicca. And I'll talk about it more too, later, and how that happened and like how Wicca associates it a little bit differently than other cultures and other practices. And then, but like I said, it's been around for thousands of years. It's not this new idea. And we see it in a couple different forms. So in ancient times, you'll see it more often as like the personification of actually three different deities that will represent three different parts. They're actually like themselves separately. They're not always attached to like the maiden mother crone. A lot of times you'll see it attached to this deity represents three different things throughout culture. So then we'll attach it to her because she represents three different things throughout culture. Or it will be that they're looking for three specific things within their practice. So they pull a deity to represent this for that, and this for that. So you'll see that throughout ancient times. And then you'll also see we do have some in ancient times that are considered like the trifecta goddess. You'll see one goddess, all is one. You do see Hecate like that. You see a couple more as well. I'll get into that later as well. So you do see the triple goddess manifesting in a lot of different ways. But like I said, the most common is the mother maiden crone, like that archetype energy, which represents, and that archetype energy, the mother maiden crone, it represents the move, like the different phases in a woman's life. And disclaimer here as well, you can and must and should access the divine feminine no matter your gender. Like, no matter if you're female or not, like, the divine feminine still matters to you. It matters to every single human being on the planet. It's how you awaken, it's how you find balance. It's just like the feminine. Like, if you're female gender orientated, like you need to look for masculine energy as well. Like you need that balance. So just because like if you're more male gender orientated, like that doesn't mean that like this isn't for you. Like it is for every single human. So that as well, it's not just for females, but it does represent the divine feminine energy, for sure. And then let's see, where am I at with this? Oh, there's just so much with this one. I don't want to skip anything. Okay, so yes, I'm right on track. So triple goddess is a divine feminine. It's usually in three unified forms. And like I said, the maiden, and it's the three phases. The maiden is typically the goddess in her childhood to late teen years. So a lot of times, like if you see that like more scientifically broken down, I haven't written kind of like more chronologically later. That's more like birth through puberty. And then when you look at the mother aspect, that's parenthood through maturity. So that like if you look at it like more chronologically, like scientifically, like that's how you'll see that. But that's like was carried and given birth to children. That's also the other aspect of that. Is a lot of times you won't see that aspect until like you have the ability, like you're fertile, you're in your womanhood, like you a lot of times you don't see it cross over until you actually are married, you're not a virgin anymore, or you become a mother. Like that's that energy that's attached to. The crone is the goddess energy in her late years. So it's following like the change. It's following after menopause. It's when you can no longer bear children. That's the concept that's like its most basic essence. And then when it comes to like chronologically, you're looking at like the wise elderhood. So you're looking at senior citizen type when you're looking at scientifically chronological wise, like age that way. And then, like I said, spiritually, it's when you can no longer bear children. And then, like I said, the amazing part with the triple goddess is that like this belief, it it's across so many different cultures, it's across so many different religions, it's across so many different practices. It can apply to almost anybody's spirituality. It can apply to every single human on the planet, and it can apply to everyone's different life phases. Like you had the young, the middle age, and the older years. Like we all have those three life phases if we are blessed enough to get to experience them all. But like we all have those life phases. And then like you also look at it from like the standpoint of like learning, like you're naive to maturity, and then it's apprentices, you're apprentice to sage, and it's your hero journey. It's all of that like archetype energy that's going to be representing, and it's a different cross points, and that's why it's also like such this beautiful energy because it comes across like so, it's everywhere. Like it comes across everywhere. It's for all humans. Like it's you can practice any spirituality in any religion, and this is going to be able to be a part of it. Like as much as Christianity may not like it, like the Trinity shows up there. They're choosing not for it to be feminine energy, but like they have that, like they can't get rid of it. And actually, if you ask me, they actually do have the Trinity and feminine energy. They just really try really hard to hide it with Eve and Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary herself. All three of them have their own witch abilities and powers and stories that go to them. So like they also have it there too. So like you see it everywhere. Um, like I said, they don't like to admit that, but it's definitely there. Um, and then, like I said before, it's not strictly a Wiccan thing, but now like that it is very strongly associated to Wicca. So you will kind of hear that, to where people think that it is strictly a Wiccan thing, but again, it's not. It's been around for centuries. It's been around for thousands of years prior, long before Wicca was ever a religion or ever established. Um, I guess again, you'll see them. Another example, like I said before, you have Hecate, you have Brigitte in the ancient Celtic triple goddess. She's also not depicted as a mother maiden crone. She's the one where I said before, she's depicted as a triple goddess because of her three forms that she rules over, which is the smithing, poetry, and healing. So that's another view and another way to view that. But she was referred to and viewed as a triple goddess prior to Wiccan bringing this about. And then again, you have Hecate, which is the ancient Greek goddess of the crossroads, and she's known for the triple goddess for a lot of different reasons. And if you want a really detailed explanation for why she's known for that, I am teaching a class on her on the 29th. And I'll break that down way more. Another one too is the Morrigan. I'm actually teaching a class on her on Sunday. Wow, this is divine timing. But I'm teaching a class on Morrigan as well. She's also known that way as well. And it's different though, because she's also, again, she's not seen as this young, motherly, old. It's the three different goddess forms and personalities and domains that she represents. Because she represents Anu, Amacha, Amaba. And so like that's a different form of it, but like you see it there as well. Again, another review that you'll see it as well, where it's different than just the mother maiden crone, is a lot of times I feel like people forget this, but you think of the fates for the Greeks and the Norns for the North mythologies. Like people don't really consider them deities in their right, but I feel like they should be. Like they're the fates. Like the gods have to bow down to them. Like if the fates tell the gods something is happening, like the gods go, well, it's happening. There's nothing I can do about this. And they're always viewed in a form of three, like in the different cultures and different mythologies. And what I think is super interesting too about this is originally they're not actually portrayed as like this mother maiden crone energy either. They're just three beings. And then through modern time, all of a sudden you start seeing them represented as this young, this middle aged, this old crone, and these three different personalities, but they're really just three different beings. So that's another form of time of like energy where you see that triple goddess energy represented, and you see those three different beings, those three different phases, those three different divine energies. Um, so that's another way that you will see that. So really kind of I've kind of been pointing it out multiple times, is you'll see like the two different separate concepts. You see like the ancient concept and the modern difference. And that modern difference is how most people are practicing. That's how most of the way that you'll see it. And that's that maiden mother crone energy. I do use it in a way in that sense, in that archetype sense. I kind of blend it a little bit, but you do mainly see it this way, and this is, like I said, this is a lot more modern. And so let's see, I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything and I'm not missing any examples for you guys. Okay, I'm gonna take a break, double check at the chat. And do you guys have any questions so far before I go on to the next chunk? I've gone through a lot already, so
I do.
go ahead.
Can you also relate the triple usage to male gods too?
Yes, you can. Um, I don't see it super often that way. I use it that way. I have some other teachers that have taught me that you can use it that way with the male deities. Um, I think I don't see why not. Because of the balance and because of the way that universal energy is structured, to me it seems irresponsible not to use it that way, because then you're purposely creating imbalance by calling in three female deities to one male deity.
That makes sense. It would also kind of, in my opinion, be a little sexist too because
Yes,
of that
I
imbalance.
I agree with that as well.
Is there
And a
any
lot of
specific?
times too, I've done it too, where I've actually put a male deity in with two female deities. That's a whole other thing, but I've done that as well.
Interesting. Do you off the top of your head, can you think of any male deities that you would use? for
So I have done Hecate, Hades, and Persephone before. And that has been a beautiful combination, like with just one male in there together. Um, with I don't know why I'm having such a hard time hearing. And then with for three male deities, a lot of times I stick within pantheons. So you'll see like the three Hindu gods. A lot of times you can see those three together. I see those three together. I've seen three like male kamis for Japanese Shinto gods. I've seen three of those males put together as well at times. Um, Otherwise, I've kind of made my own trinity when it comes to that.
okay. When you were talking about it, I was actually thinking specifically Vishnu, the elephant guy. I think I have his name right from Hindu because I remember there was like three different things he's good for that are like kind of like different points. So
Yep,
thank
I've
you.
definitely seen those three. I've seen those three paired together because you also see their three counterparts, their wives, like you see them paired together in a triple entity. Actually, I'll go over that later too. So that's why I also feel like I see those three too often because the mythology between those couples is very intense.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions at all? Why am I having such a hard time hearing you?
I have one.
Go for it.
Yeah. Is there is any relationship between Hecate and Isis or Hathor in the Egyptian pantheons?
So Hecate and Isis, yes, I've seen them put together. Isis is one of the, actually, she's represented as a triple goddess in Egypt. She can be. A lot of times I see them standing on their own. But yes, I have seen them together, and they do correlate to each
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Man, you guys are jumping ahead of me. I love it. How do you help a male connect with the divine feminine? Um, so how do I connect? How are you trying to connect them? Can you elaborate on that a little bit, Jody? Are you just saying like having them together, like in a trinity together, or are you saying like trying to specifically connect like a male deity to a female deity, to like a divine feminine?
So like we all connect with our divine feminine, right? And you know, as you were saying before, it's really important, I think, for all of us to sort of connect to the divine feminine, right? Like whatever that may be. You can certainly put it out into deities, different deities, and but how do you help somebody who wants to be more open to it, you know, to connecting with, you know, what we would consider the divine feminine, you know what I mean, to help them,
Gotcha.
you know what I don't know how to, I'm not wording things properly. It's been a hell of a work day for me today, so it just it's been
I
busy.
get it. I get it.
And my phone is still going off, and I'm just like, I know 10:30 I'll talk to you then. So I'm just super curious because I like, you know, they want to be sort of open-minded and they want to kind of, you know, learn more and connect more, but you know, when getting into conversations about things like that, and to say, well, you know, you need to connect with your divine feminine to sort of gain understanding and growth and movement and that sort of thing, and they don't get it, and I don't know how to make them get it. So I just wasn't sure if you had any, because I know that I've heard you previously talk about your own husband and how, you know, he has to have his time to be able to, you know, connect with divine feminine, and he has to be able to have his own time to be able to sort of, you know, do all of those things. So um yeah, that's my like, I'm just sort of curious as to how, like how do you, like, even for myself sometimes, because sometimes I feel really disconnected, and I think that goes just how life sort of progresses, right? But yeah, that's my question anyway. Just
Yeah.
like, how do you help somebody who wants growth but just kind of is not, doesn't
So
see it the way that
I
we
love
do.
this question. I love this question a lot. First, to answer to help you, the first number one way that's really going to help you, because I already know what you're doing and kind of the classes that you're going, keep attending the moon ceremonies and the moon rituals. When you are
Okay.
in divine connection with the moon, that really helps with your divine feminine. You will see an absolute transformation in yourself, in your energy, in your connection to your divine energy if you follow and observe the moon for every single cycle for 1 year. If you do that for 1 year, the connection you will feel because you connected to each moon phase throughout each season, each year, and in each astrological sign, that energy just amplifies, and it helps you connect that divine feminine. It helps you clear out so much. It helps you go through each transformation with that moon throughout the year. So for yourself, and then also trying to encourage others to do that. So the people who need to do that in your life, you don't have to do this big elaborate ritual to connect the moon. It's simply
No.
just even just convincing them to go for a walk underneath the moonlight, when you just getting them kind of connected to that energy, and then it should start to slowly flow for them and get that interest more going if it's already there. I've noticed that in my own life and relationship as well. And I've been on this path for a really long time, and my husband started his a few years back because of everything that I've been around. So that's one. Two, shadow work. Should
Yeah.
have known that was going to be my answer.
Yeah,
Shadow work,
I should
shadow work,
have.
shadow work, shadow work. That's going to be the number one way to help you connect to any divine energy, any divine entity, and any archetype energy, any nature, the moon, and yourself, because you need to get connected to your shadow self and understand what's going on with your shadow self, of why you're having a hard time connecting and why you're not having that divine flow. Make sure your shadow work is specifically focusing on your feminine energy, your feminine archetype, all of that. That will help with that connection. So that will help with that connection. And then to help somebody else with shadow work, you kind of low-key do it on them. I don't know any other way to kind of say it, but when you're in conversations and deep conversations with them, you are asking them questions that you would be asking yourself, that you consider shadow work questions. That it also helps them feel safe and in a safe environment, because it's a conversation going back and forth. They're getting to do an internal reflection while having you holding that space there with them. And they also don't feel the pressure of 100% knowing that's what they're doing. And
Right.
then eventually it works into where you can make sure it does become a super intentional conversation.
Okay.
At least that's how I noticed that it really worked for me, because if they're already willing to have those deep conversations with you, they don't need to know you're specifically asking them a shadow work question. You're asking them a question that still is relevant to what you're talking about. You're just also helping them with another process they don't realize that you're helping.
It's easing them into it. I got you. I feel you. Thank you. I appreciate that. That
You're
makes
super
total
welcome.
sense.
Any other questions? I think I see. I do have a bunch of tips on shadow work. I already did a class on shadow work. If you would love to watch it, it's already on the YouTube page. Otherwise, you can message me directly, and I will always answer any questions about shadow work, because shadow work is very near and dear to my heart. I think it's absolutely crucial. You can't awaken, you can't access your full potential who you are without it. And the Academy is going to be starting a shadow work club too, to help you guys be able to work on that and do things on that. You can message me directly on Facebook. Otherwise, I can put my email in here too. Yeah, that was actually Katie's idea too, to do the shadow work club. I wanted to do it. I just didn't know if I was gonna have time to do it. And then Katie's like, I want to do it. I'm like, Katie, please do it. So I'm really excited. Okay, do we have any other questions before I go on the next chunk?
Will you be putting it on a PDF like you did last time?
Yep, I'm gonna try to figure out how to do that. This got sent from a different computer, and then Jody's gonna help me do that too. So I will get it switched over probably sometime tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah, you just
Thank
need
you.
to I'll send you a request to edit. I need to be able to edit the document. So I'll send you that request. You need to say, yep, it's okay. And then I can edit it and put it into a PDF and post that PDF in the chat for you
Okay.
later.
Sounds like
Or I
fun.
can or I can send it to you directly and you can post it, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter to me.
Okay, beautiful.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it because I printed it out so I can keep it for my records, and I like to reread it, especially because I have MS, so I can be very forgetful, and also a severely disabled child, so sometimes it's hard to concentrate all the time. So being able to go over the notes is very helpful.
You are super welcome. I'm so glad that they're being so helpful for you. That is exactly why I'm making them too, to make it easy and make it so you guys can go back. And so you don't have to take notes the whole time if you don't want to.
Thank you again.
You're welcome. Okay. Okay, so now what I'll do is we will go over in detail the meaning of the triple goddess, symbol in the form and the archetype of the maiden mother crone. So I'm going to break down in very specific detail what each of those archetypes mean in various different ways to you, to the collective, how you can access those, how you can get access to the energies, how you can work with those energies, and things like that. So that's going to be the next chunk that we'll go over here. So we're gonna dive right in. So like we've talked about before, the triple goddess is three facets. This is, like I said, this is a super it's been actually through sometimes in ancient times, but this is a more modern view on it. It's the mother maiden crone. It mirrors the stages of women's life that they undergo through their life. It's also a framework that helps provide us insights to life's patterns and transitions, and also archetypes for us to be able to access. So this is kind of, a lot of people view triple goddess as an archetype energy. It's not always viewed that way. I view it kind of really first and foremost as an archetype energy. And like I said, a lot of people do view it as this archetype energy, this mother, maiden, crone aspect. But again, some cultures, some representations, they are specific deities themselves, like personified specific deities because of attributes, because of what they represent, because of things that they have access to. But with the archetype energy, again, if you don't know what an archetype is, simply put, archetypes are representations of attributes that exist within all of us. They show us parts of ourselves that may lie dormant and need to be awakened, and they reveal traits of ourselves that may need to be tamed and we may need to work with and deal with. And again, if you want way more information on archetypes, I did a very detailed class and I broke them down a lot. I went through the main 13. I broke down like where it even came from in psychology, where it comes in the spiritual realm. So if you want more information of that, just go look, go to that class. Go watch that class on YouTube. When it comes to the archetype, like I said, it is very ancient. In ancient times, usually the attributes that were associated with it are going to be fertility, nurturing, sensuality, and sex and beauty. She was the aspects of sacred feminine. She is 1 and 3, which both are super sacred numbers. So I want to make sure that like we pay attention to that as well. 1 and 3 are super sacred numbers throughout many different religions, throughout many different spiritualities, throughout many different practices. Also in numerology, they're very sacred numbers alone, just in numerology. 1 points to the singleness and the unity of life, and then 3 represents many, many universal cycles that we all go through, such as birth, death, and rebirth. You have creation, destruction, and renewal. So 1 and 3, 3 is just, and 3 is alone is just like a super, super, like numerology wise, this is a super, super important number. I mean, it deals with luck and intuition and prosperity and creativity, and like the life path of 3 is just, it's like 3 is just a super, super, super sacred number for it to be attached to. This symbol is, the archetype is a whole. So you see the three shapes of the moon almost always in the symbol. So you'll have the three different phases, but when they come together as a whole, like they're just a circle. So you'll see it a lot of times, like in ancient time is that, and then more modern is when you see the three different phases. Um, And then, like I'd stated before, and I actually have an awesome quotation in here from a book that's actually really great. Like, if you haven't read any books about this would be a great one to start. It's by D.J. Conway. And he's they're the author of The Maiden, Mother, Crone, The Myth and Reality of the Triple Goddess. And it talks about like a lot of it's a really amazing book. It breaks down the archetype energies really well. And the maiden, the mother, crone, and how to access it. It's just a really amazing book. But they also talk about how it's super, super important for everybody, every human being. So reconnecting with the goddess is not just a woman experience, but it's a human experience, greatly needed for the well-being and a positive development of our species. I touched on this before, and again, like because of this archetype and what it all represents, and because like it represents things that every single human's going to go through no matter what. Um, that's why it's so, so important for every human being to do this. And it also helps our collective as a whole. I talk about our collective in almost every single class. Almost every single thing that I bring up, if every single human being would be doing this, our collective would be so much healthier as a whole. We wouldn't be crumbling, to say it in the best, simplest ways. So again, it's the each of these expressions, they live within us. They also live within each other. Like I said, they're the one and the three. They understand the gifts and the lessons of each one create the wholeness of who we are as a human being, no matter our chronological age, because that's the other part of it as well, because these are archetype energies. You don't have to be chronologically in this stage for you to spiritually be in this stage, or for you to access this archetype energy to be able to help you with what you need. Because like I said, all of these create wholeness together, all of these stages, all of these phases, all of these representations. So again, when it comes to embracing the divine feminine, there's those three phases. The maiden is attached to the waxing moon. It's attached to when the moon is in the night sky. It's when it's very first emerging. It's very like it embodies like youthful vigor, the fresh perspective, the boundless potential. It's the spirit of exploration. It's the first taste of like life, like everything life has to offer. It's so much joy. It's like it's the childlike wonder, the naivety, the joy, the zest for life, the courage to do anything no matter the consequences, because you know it's life and I want to do it because I want to know what's going to happen and I'm so curious. Like it's all of that energy. That's all of that maiden energy. Like it encompasses all of that. It's the virgin energy. It's the prior to being able to bear children. It's the prior to being married. You'll also see this with other like with specific deities, because you'll see Artemis a lot with maiden. Because I'm not like she chooses to stay a virgin, so you'll see that with that energy as well. I mean, she becomes of childbearing age, but because she chooses to stay a virgin, so that's another attribute to it that you'll see. With the maiden, very independent energy, very untamed. The hunter, the huntress, you know, always on the wild, wanderlust, you know, that's that energy. That's that part of your life. The young girl, a lot of the deities that you'll see that are common attached to her to attach this. Like I said, Artemis and Persephone. Super common for Persephone, like super, super, super common for Persephone to be represented as the maiden energy. A lot because her mother Demeter is represented as the mother energy a lot. And then just her story. If you don't know Persephone's story, I also did a class on her. Her YouTube, the kids is on YouTube. I go into very detailed about her story. And how she represents it so symbolically. I mean, she completely like she doesn't even have a name until she goes from maiden to mother. Like she's just known as Kore, which is just girl. Like she doesn't even get her name until after she's no longer a maiden. Like that's how important that mother phase is. But she's represented, like I said, in that maiden phase. How you can experience and honor the maiden phase, like I said, it's going to be curiosity. So like doing things like just out of curiosity, like making sure that you're looking at things from other people's perspectives. You're trying to find other people's attitudes. You're trying to simply be curious. You're looking at things as, like I said, pure curiosity without judgment. You want to make sure that that judgment piece isn't there. Like if you're wanting to see other people's perspectives, you're not wanting to look at it of like, oh, why did they did that? Like you are genuinely looking at curiosity of how, like what could have happened to them to make them do this. Like it's more like it's not from a judgment place. So making sure that you keep that out of that when it comes to attaching, connecting to that energy and like really getting to that divine energy. Connecting to nature because it's very like wild spirited, young, free will, joy, like running through the woods. Like I just want to be happy energy. So connecting to like really, really connecting to that nature, like one mindfully, like fully, like wholeheartedly, like attached, present in that moment with nature. Other ways that you can attach this is new beginnings because she represents, you know, that phase in the moon, the new beginning, all of that. So like starting something new, whether it's a new work project or a new hobby for fun or pleasure, or a new relationship because you've been out of one for a while, you're ready for it. Just something that's going to be new that you can indulge in, that's going to spark creativity. Like that is going to be a great way to be able to spark that energy to start to connect to it in your daily life. Next, we have the mother energy. The mother is when the full moon is illuminated, is when the moon is completely full. It's when you see all its light, all its brilliance. It symbolizes like deep, passionate love and resilience, and that very, very nurturing love. That very like, I want to pick you up and wrap you and care for you love. It embodies abundance and care, and it teaches us that absolute unconditional love, where you get that love no matter what you do. There's a lot of sacrifice in this. It's a lot of self-sacrifice. It's a lot of doing things for other people, for the world, for your community. It's the art of balance. The moon's full, like balance. It's full. It's fully illuminated. Like it's full. It's at its peak. So it's balance. A lot of people view it as like being visualized as when a woman's in her prime. She is of her childbearing ages. She's having children and offspring if that's what she chooses to do. Whether that's like I said, human, like physical offspring, like you can also have offspring in this time of, you know, your creative projects, like your work, your career, if that's what you choose. Like this is when you're creating, giving birth to whatever it is that you're going to be caring for and you're going to be childbearing in this lifetime. That's that energy that you're going to really feel and really be encompassing in this mother energy. It really nurtures our dreams. It really wants us to uplift other people and find harmony between our giving and our receiving. It really wants us to focus on making sure that we have self-care to care for ourselves and we're still caring for others. It makes sure like it's very attached, like that summer, that warmth, that embrace. It's the providing, the protecting, very caretaker energy with children, ideas, plants, animals. Lust and reproduction also are a big part of this. Childbearing, like you can't bear, like you, I mean, you need reproduction to bear children. Like lust needs to be there to bear children. That's in some way, shape, or form, I would hope actually. When you attach to this, like it's a very mature energy. It's less innocent. But she still has a lot of lessons yet to learn. Like still has a lot of learning yet to do. Like hasn't learned all her lessons yet. A lot of deities and goddesses that can be attached to this energy are going to be Gaia, Demeter, Isis, Mary. You're going to want to be able to like experience and honor and connect to this energy. You're going to want to be planting life, like tending to things like that, whether like it's an outside garden or simply just like writing and planting life in a story or creating life through dance and movement in your body. Like any way that you can possibly create life and blessing and like planting those seeds of creativity for art and work and projects. Another way that you can experience and honor this energy is also by logic and order. It's the other side of this energy. You need logic in order to run a household, to care for children, to be able to, you know, run a business, to be able to give birth to a creative art project, like anything that you give birth to, like you do need some type of logic in order to do that. So that's a huge part of this. So you can connect to this by like connecting to matters of law or finance and order and justice, and focusing also on creating boundaries within your own life. So this is something I also have realized, like when you become a mother, like, or a parent in any way, shape, or form. I mean, I created boundaries with my pets, but then when I really became a mother, like I really started to create boundaries. Like when you really enter this energy, like you really start to feel that encroach, and you really start to understand that like you have a certain lifestyle and way that you want to live and energy that you want to maintain, and like you are going to maintain that. Like I can personally speak to like this energy, like you will really feel this pop up. Um, and just a clarification on boundaries, like boundaries aren't like if somebody does this, this is what I'm gonna do. Like it's not like, oh well, if you do this, like this is what's gonna no. It's this is my boundary. This is what I'm gonna set. You can choose to cross it or not. And if you cross it, this is just gonna be my reaction and this is what's gonna happen. So like it doesn't have to be hostile. It's like just want to make that out there. Like boundaries don't have to be hostile. You can set them in a very like amicable way, but still be firm in them. That's definitely a thing. But like this will definitely come up, and that's a way that, like I said, you can connect to that mother energy. Love and commitment, in any way, shape, or form. Whether that's love and commitment to your art projects, to your work, to your career, to your children, to yourself, like any type of love and commitment that's like absolute unconditional love. So next we have the crone energy. The crone attaches to the waning moon. She stands at the crossroads of conclusion and wisdom. So like she's learned what she's learned, like she's learning, like she's learned what she's learned. She's realizing her lessons. Like she's coming to like the conclusions, and like she's really sitting in that knowledge. Like this is where you go from like you really hit that sage ability, that sage mode, that sage wisdom. She embodies like the insights, the enlightenment that comes from experience specifically. It's pretty like it's the twilight of your life. It's accumulation of all your lessons that you've learned. It's accepting the duality of life. It's accepting the ebbs and flows. It's accepting and like under like really fully like radically accepting, like fully understanding, like whole body and like feeling it completely in your body and soul. Like this, like my life happened the way it did, and that is how it's supposed to happen. Like fully accepting that, like radically accepting that, and like having like serene, like peace and reflection, and also understanding the promise of rebirth that comes with our life. And rebirth that comes from gaining all that wisdom and gaining all that knowledge. Some people really don't like the word crone because they feel like it's got a negative connotation to it. I love it. I absolutely love it. I don't think it needs to represent like this ugly, frightening thing. Like it just really, really, really represents that like life is a cycle, and like we get to go through this amazing, brilliant cycle over and over and over again, and it represents like the moon does it like over and over and over again, and the earth does it over and over and over again. It's like I don't think that we need to be afraid of this phase. And I feel like a lot of people like don't want to even move into this phase because of that. But there's so much power in this phase. Like there's so much power in this phase. Like you get to bestow your wisdom and your knowledge and your experience onto younger generations. And like you get to present it in such a beautiful way when you get to this stage. Like the stage is amazing. I'm not there yet. And I'm very jealous that I'm not there yet. A few crone deities and goddesses that you can connect to are going to be the Banshee goddess, Baba Yaga, the spider mom, grandmother, and Kalei. Experiences to be able to attach to the crone energy are going to be like fully, truly, wholeheartedly letting go. Like truly letting go. People say that they've let go of things all the time, and they really, really, truly haven't. Like it's really, truly 100% like cutting that cords, radically accepting, like fully letting go of something. Whether it's a person, a thing, a place, something like a trauma that you need to work through, like anything that you can do, like letting go is going to be like so cathartic. It's going to bring you to that wisdom. It's going to bring you to that place of that crone energy. Reflection, like even just sitting in reflection, shadow work, my favorite thing. Reflection, like just sitting and observing your life, like as if you're an outsider and doing the shadow work, doing the journaling, doing the therapy, like taking a really like honest appraisal of your life and like your actions and like understanding like where you're at and where you've come and where you've been and all of that, like truly reflecting on things. Another way that you can access this energy is also just like honoring your elders and your ancestors and just, but I think you can do that in so many ways. It's simply just like being kind and having a one-on-one conversation and being around them and being willing to learn and gather knowledge and wisdom and accessing your ancestors and your spirit guides. Like if you don't have elders around you, like there's so many ways to be able to do that. Okay, so before I go to overall, sorry, I'm still getting winded. I'm tested negative finally for COVID, but it doesn't mean I'm fully recovered. Yes, I love that, honey. I love it. Yes. When you let go of something fully, it makes way for the rebirth of the maiden. Yes, and you'll go through those cycles so many times over and over again. I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. Okay, so before I go on to the next chunk and ask if you guys have any questions, I just wanted to go over a couple more deities to make sure that you guys have a decent list to go over. So when it comes to the maiden energy, some other options that you have are also going to be Diana, Aphrodite, Freya, Ishtar, Maeve. I can't wait to talk about her. Then you have the mother energy, which you can use Isis, Demeter, Rhiannon, Selena, Brigid, Gaia, Hestia. Oh, Hestia for mother energy. If you have never worked with Hestia, she is brilliant for mother energy in so many ways and shapes and forms. She's got sacred prostitution too underneath her, and I love that. Then you have Danu, and then Mary and Yin. And then the crone, other energies that you can attach to are going to be the Morgan, like I said before. Nyx, Hel. I'm going to be teaching a class on her soon. Baba Yaga, Lilith. I've already taught a class on her, and she's amazing. Kali Ma, Hecate. And Hecate, like I said, I'll talk about her a little bit more briefly. She sometimes, like I said, is seen as all three aspects, but really she's really attached to the crone because of her being attached to the crossroads and being attached to enlightenment and magic and wisdom and all of the shadow work and all the divination and all of the protection and things like that. That's really why I have her listed there. Okay. So any questions before I go into the next chunk?
I have a question.
Go for it.
All right, cool. I have a question about the crone. I was thinking that when you get to the crone's sort of period or transition or phase or path, whatever you want to call it, people at that age tend to not have their moon cycle. So when I think about like how women cleanse themselves and how we sort of cycle through that naturally, and when you get to the crone stage, they no longer do that. So what would be a way for people at that stage, I guess, to cleanse themselves in a natural way?
So this one I have to speak to what my teachers have taught me and because I can't personally speak to this one quite so much because I'm not at that age yet. And actually I'm actually getting my tubes completely removed in a few weeks. They're literally getting removed from my body. I do not want them. But when it comes to that, what I've been told is doing womb healing will really help connect to that and connect to that divine feminine energy because you can still connect to your womb space to help you connect to that divine energy, and you can use the womb, different types of womb healing to help clean and cleanse out that area. You have yoni steams, you have yoni eggs that can help with the cleansing of that area if you're not going through like your menstrual cycle and your moon bleed every month. Also, just simply making sure that you're observing and connecting to those moon phases. I have heard that it becomes a little bit more important in this phase to try to focus on the waning and waxing as well. I know that gets really hard of like noticing when that's happening, but like trying to notice on like all four phases. But really being intentional about making sure that you're connecting to the moon within those moon cycles, because that energy's still going to go through your body. Like you're still going to get that energy cleansing and rushing through your divine feminine and through your entire body, going through your womb space, circulating through all of that and circulating that energy through your negative and positive poles. throughout there. Does that help at all?
Yeah, just I guess to surmise, it'd be like just remain connected
Yes.
into the natural cycles of the world. Yeah, so I was just thinking about that because, my mother is probably at the air quotes crone stage. And she, from what I learned from her, is that she still feels the cycle of her menstrual, her moon coming on, but she doesn't obviously have any shedding of egg or anything like that. So it's just interesting to learn about that. That's all.
It is super interesting, and it's also kind of interesting because I haven't gotten any of mine since I gave birth to my son in like 2.5 years, like nothing. So like, but I still feel that energetic move through my body, like every single time, like throughout the month. Like I still feel the energy move, even though like I'm not shedding anything, I'm not bleeding, like nothing's happening with my body, but like I still can feel the energetic shift. So like I can so little, like I said, it's different because I'm not at that stage and I'm not at the age. Mine's just being funky and weird. But that I noticed that as well. Like I wanted to make that point. Like I definitely can agree with that because I've noticed that as well. Even like I said, I'm not shedding and bleeding anymore, but I'm still feeling that energetic shifts go through. I'm still feeling like that energy clear out.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're super welcome. Any other questions?
I have two.
Okay, go ahead.
During your shadow work class, did you go over boundaries and how to keep them in that or get them?
I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did. If I didn't, then I will create a separate study guide like I did for the moon colors and for menstruals and the moon cycles. So I will
Okay.
go and rewatch my class. And if I did not bring that up, I will create a separate thing for that. I think I did. I think I did. But I don't want to say that and like be a liar.
That is actually your one class that I missed.
So I'm gonna rewatch that and double check. And if not, like I said, I have no problem creating extra study guides. I did one for the menstrual cycles and the moon, so I will definitely I can do one on boundaries. That's a super important thing.
Thank you. And the other thing is, can I don't quite know how to ask this. Can can one still be considered a maiden? I know chronologically in that is different than other ways, but can you still be considered a maiden if you have all the other characteristics except the virginity part?
I say yes. Some
Okay.
people say no. Some like I've had teachers that have said yes, and I've had some teachers that have said no. I say yes because that's not always a condition. Like that's not always the way that it's represented throughout history, throughout culture. That's not the only aspect of that energy. If you're still like that young, that childlike wonder, and like you're still all about that, like I don't see any reason why no, no, no. And like I've said, and I also believe that we can move through these phases throughout our life in cycles too. Like I feel like we can move through them in cycles. So at one point in time, like I could completely go back to being a maiden, even though I'm now a wife and mother and very clearly not a virgin anymore. Does that help?
Okay. It does. I really love feeling like I'm still the maiden, and I still have all qualities of maidenship, if you get my drift. But
My patron,
I
my
was just
patron
curious.
deity, like my patron deity is that energy. So that's also why like I feel that way too. Cause like I'm so connected to that energy and there's gotta be a reason for that.
Okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Wait, I have another question.
Go for it.
Real quick. You said you have a patron deity. Were you told that you have this deity? Did someone do a reading, or is this something that you
Oh
sort of
no,
just
she
connected?
informed me herself.
Okay. Okay.
I had no choice. She informed me herself.
Okay, cool.
I am going to be doing a class on basic deity work, so I will go over my own personal journey and how other people can find and all the different ways that you can connect to deities and how you can find patron deities if that's part of your practice, because not everybody works with deities and deity energies. That is very central to my practice and to who I am, and it's how I got introduced to magic and energy and everything. So that's why it's always a big part of what I'm doing. But like I said, it's not everybody's path. That's totally fine.
Can I ask a question?
Go for it.
So when you say your patron deity and she very much informed you, like, this is just kind of like all of a sudden, I'm here, hello, like, I'm not going anywhere, and we're hanging out, and that's just the way it's going to be, and you're going to accept that, because that is very much happening for me right now. And I'm like, ever since our class and we did that meditation, and I'm like, okay, I get it. I get you, right? Like, and she's in my face. Like,
Yep.
and it's not even in a nice way sometimes. I'm like, okay, I get it, right? So yeah, I should probably be paying more attention to that then.
Yes,
And
I
trying to
would
get to know that.
1000% recommend that. I would
Okay.
definitely pay attention to that. Watch the synchronicities, watch the messages.
Oh, it's
Make
crazy.
sure to reach out to your spirit guides as well, because they can help you as well with like connecting to that. Because yeah, it got to the point like she was very in my face, and I chose not to listen for a while. Because I was like, no, 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 like for one, she's Greek. And I'm like, no, it's not gonna be me. Like, I'm not gonna be that person. Like that's not no. Like I pull from so many pantheons, like this can't be it. But no, she came very hard in my face. I actually like ended up with severe migraines for a while because I was choosing to not listen. And it got to that point. And then when I finally was like, okay, fine, like, and I really, really like opened it up. And she let me know like why she was so insistent and like why she was there for me and what my role was going to be for her and the connection to my husband as well. And so it was just, yes, very, very, very in my face for a long time, and I ignored it for a while.
Yeah, and that's what it's makes total sense. I'm gonna have to
And
message you about
again,
that
I'm
later.
going to be doing apprenticeships. I'm going to be starting them soon. I'm almost done with them. So if there is a deity and you want to do the apprenticeships, and I know, Jody, you already reached out to me, but like make sure like if there is a specific deity you want to work with that is reaching out to you and is calling to you, like make sure that you let me know.
Okay.
I have a
Okay.
question.
Yes.
Yeah, in fact, that resonates so much with me. I feel that I'm in that position. In fact, I just broke my foot not too long ago, and that is I had been hesitating back and forth of doing the keeping her keys from Jason Miller, and I have all of the initial contract, but I'm going back and forth into doing it. How long and how difficult does that training is it something that like I have to like keep going for like many years or something? So that's kind of my doubt.
That just all depends on the deity. It's all gonna depend on the deity and the path. And it's
Oh,
gonna
that's with
depend for
Hecate
you.
directly.
What?
That is with Hecate for sure.
Yeah, and yeah, I knew because of the book. I have that book. I've read it many times. I love that book.
Oh, that's awesome.
Can we work with non-dark deities in the apprenticeship? Yes, we certainly can, honey. I'm actually thinking of eventually, once I'm not teaching 3 series at once, coming back around and doing a series on deities that aren't dark, both male and female. So yeah, I just really badly wanted to get demons taught. So that would kind of overpower that one. But yes, I do plan on eventually doing that because I don't plan on stopping teaching. So I'm gonna need other topics eventually, and that is one that I do plan on eventually. And in my basic deities class, I will go over some for a lot of different topics too that aren't dark deities. I see hand raised. Jalinda. I hope I'm saying that right.
So, I saw someone mentioning like once you cycle through, you start back over at the maiden. Can you like get stuck in one phase for like a really long time and then suddenly just cycle through them all again, like very, very quickly, one after another?
Yes.
Okay, because I've been experiencing that for sure.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's all going to depend on you and how you move through the energy. It's all going to depend on you and how you move through your energy.
Makes
Okay.
sense.
Any other questions?
I have one more.
Go for it.
Can we connect or be, I guess, more than one energy at a time? Of the
Yep,
three?
I do it all the time. You should see my altar, honey. You should
I'd
see
actually
my
love
altar
that.
and how many different energies and deities, and I have even more than one altar because they have different purposes and different energies that they're attached to. Yes, you can 100%. You do need to be careful because some deities may not like that. And usually in class, I let you know, like if it's a deity that's going to be a little bit jealous or not okay with it. But for the most part, yes, you can.
Oh no, I don't mean deities. I mean the maiden mother crone.
Yes, I work with all
That
three
type
of
of
them.
energy.
I work with all three of them.
Like at once.
Yep.
Okay.
Because you're gonna need all three of them at your life at all point in time to have balance. Like you're gonna need all like that's why I work with them all at once. I've seen other practitioners work with them all at once. There's even books that have you work through them all, like in throughout like shadow work prompts and shadow work workbooks, like based on this topic. 'Cause there's actually a lot out there on this topic, that have you work through them all throughout, either at one time or for maiden energy for a week, and then the mother for a week, and then the crone for a week. It just all depends. But yes, you can.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? So next, tapping in the energy of the triple goddess. Simple ways to do this, like overall, not just for like each specific archetype, the mother, maiden, crone, but overall the triple goddess is understanding which phase you're specifically chronologically in, which one you're in spiritually, which phase you're in, like any all different aspects of your life. You can break this down to even like which phase you're in, like in your relationship, which phase you're in, like with your children. Like sometimes like I feel like I'm way more of like the crone energy with my son with how I'm treating him than I am the mother energy. Or like when you're playing, like just really one mindfully, like playing with your child, you can really feel like that maiden energy and like really get lost in that. Another way that you can tap into the energy is by manifesting the triple moon energy. You do that by integrating the triple moon symbol into your daily routine. Whether you do it by putting it on your altar or your candles or wearing them as jewelry, or using it as creative expression through art or anything like that. Acknowledging the divinity within yourself. So making sure that you're understanding that like this energy is also within you. Like this energy is always flowing within you. Like these archetype energies are within you. They're without you. That you connect to them through the moon and through the earth and through all these deities and spirits, but it's also within you. So acknowledging that, understanding that, working to access that through shadow work and through all the other ways that you can by accessing and tuning into those moon phases and embodying that energy. Embracing who you are authentically. So making sure that you're absolutely embracing who you are authentically through self-expression and self-belief. Making sure you're prioritizing self-care. You're nourishing your mind, body, and your soul throughout your self-care. So making sure you're not just focusing on one, but all together. And again, like connecting to the moon through moonlit rituals, making sure that you're underneath the moon, like making sure you're getting the moon energy into your physical body and your essence. All of these practices will really help you to be able to connect to this energy. But again, like stay patient. Like it may take different times. Like it may take longer for you to be able to connect to one phase over the other. And you may be able to connect one phase in one way and not in one phase not that way. So it just all depends. So just like be patient. It may take time. You're gonna have to figure it out. In the study guides, I do have a bunch of correspondences in there to be able to help you guys connect to specific energies. So I would definitely check that out. Like I always have correspondences in there for you. You can also make sure to look at specific, just basic moon correspondences. Because again, like I've emphasized it a lot throughout class, but like just connecting to the moon itself, like that gets you to that triple goddess energy. And then you work your way into which specific part of the triple goddess you want to be able to be a part of. So just attaching and connecting to those like basic moon correspondences will help. Okay, so now we're at the chunk when it comes to the Wiccan triple goddess. When it comes to this, it pops up in both Gardenian and Alexandrian Wiccan covens. They believe like the goddess' true name is actually sacred. You actually aren't revealed it until after initiation. Most practitioners view the maiden, mother, and crone as placeholders to be able to represent the goddess from pre-existing pantheons. So that's kind of like how they view it and like why they also have it named this way. And a lot of them, they view the triple goddess as a triplicate, which means like it's the three forms like in one. Rather than having like a deity represent like each phase, like it's one deity that represents that as a triplicate. And that's common in quite a few Wiccan practices. But again, like it's not like overall, and your practice can be what your practice is. And it really wasn't like a part of it until the 1970s. And it's like I said, it's a lot of people think it's because of the book that was written. Why can I not? It's in my study guide though. I know the name of it. Graves wrote it. Okay, this is gonna drive me nuts. This is gonna drive me absolutely nuts. It's in my study guide somewhere. If somebody sees it, just let me know. It's written by Graves. He wrote it in 1970. Why can I not remember it now? I'm gonna remember it eventually. Give me a second. I'm gonna keep going through this. It's gonna come to me. But okay, so then as a triplicate in Wicca, we've seen it, like I said, with the Greek goddess Hecate. She's one of the most powerful ancient deities. You see her, like she aids in Zeus's birth. She's born of Titans. She actually is the first in Kronos and the last out of Kronos. And she is depicted as a triplicate within Wicca, and then you also see her as the young maiden. She's adopted as like the young maiden archetype and the crone archetype as well. I've seen her as the two. I've really never seen her as the mother alone. I've seen her as the young maiden, I've seen her as a crone, and I've seen her as a triplicate. When I've seen her with other people, like with other deities, I usually see her alongside Artemis and Persephone. And you also see her with statues to where like she's like I said, she is the triplicate. She's got those three faces. She is like the whole embodiment. Those are two different ways. Like I said, you'll kind of specifically see that within Wicca. And then in Roman, the Roman triple goddess that you'll see as a triplicate is going to be Diana. She is considered a triplicate because of what she represents. She's the huntress, she's the moon, and the underworld. She's considered a counterpart to Hecate. So that's another reason why, like, you kind of see her brought up. She's pulled up a lot in Dianic Wicca, which pulls up in the 1970s as well. It's a cornerstone of a lot of feminist Wiccan covens and beliefs. And then you also have in Celtic, you have a couple of goddesses that pop up as a triplicate as well. You have Caridin, which I just previously taught a class on her. She represents all three of the stages. I have seen her represent them as a triplicate. I have seen her represent all three of the stages separately because of who she is and who her story is. Also because she's the lady of the cauldron and the wisdom and everything that she has access to. That is why like she's seen as a triplicate. That class will eventually get posted to YouTube. Brigitte is also seen as a triplicate. I went over her before, and again, like it's because she rules over three specific domains: smithing, healing, and poetry. So you'll see her as a triplicate. She pops up a lot in modern Wiccan as well as a triple goddess. You can see her counterpart. She's represented a lot with the counterpart in the horn god, Coronis. Please don't get super mad if I butcher the name. Remember, I know a lot of these through reading. Yes, thank you, honey. Yes, the White Goddess by Robert Graves. Thank you. Knew I had it in there, and I knew the name, and I knew when it was written. It was gonna drive me nuts. Thank you, honey. You made me not lose my mind. Okay. And then in Egyptian, I mentioned her before, but Isis. She can be considered a triple goddess, because fertility, magic, and motherhood. She also pops up a lot because of her place as motherhood within deity. There's also the tales of her tricking the god of Ra and being the serpent, and that also depicts in Christianity and crosses over there. You see her pull up a lot in Gardenian, Dianic, Wiccan, and she also can be seen as a crone archetype, because of what she attaches to. And then there's also this separate belief of Kemetic Wicca, where you'll see her pop up as well. And then another place that you'll see the triplet get pop up with the triple goddess is also going to be Hindu, in Hinduism. The three main female deities, you'll see them as well: the creator, the preserver, the destroyer, the triad goddesses. You'll see them all there. They're the three wives. I'm gonna butcher their names, but Sarvasti, Lakshmi, which I actually know quite a bit about her. I actually work with Lakshmi a lot. I'm going to be hosting her festival. Abundance that she brings me home. And Parvati. Again, please be kind when I'm not intentionally trying to butcher names. Most of this I've learned through reading. So I will always take corrections if you know how to actually say them. In the study guide, I do have some ways to know if your feminine energy is blocked. As part of your homework, I want you guys to actually read through that. I'm not going to go over it with you in class. I want you guys to read through that as part of your homework so that you can reflect and really sit with those points that I have there to understand and really reflect with shadow work while reading these on if you are blocked in your divine feminine energy and how you are blocked. So that is going to be part of your homework. I'm actually, like I said, I'm not going to go over that right now. Other ways that you'll see these, I kind of haven't brought them up before. These are I have some masters and teachers that have taught me to use them this way. I have combined them in ways to use them this way. You see them throughout different religions and different cultures use this way as used in a lot of these examples. I've given you examples of them used in this way as well throughout class. But these are other ways that you'll see them. You can see them in the triple goddess connecting to the actual planes and the realms. It's another way to connect to 3 different realms through those energies. So you have the earth, the underworld, and heavens. So that's another way that you can access that energy, and you'll see that represented. You'll also see the cycles of life, birth, and death, and then ultimately rebirth. Because the moon phases, they always continue. There's always that rebirth. There's a life, birth, and death and rebirth. You'll also main goddesses you'll see, and I have them on here a lot of times because it's the main core 3 that you'll see. It's a main core that I started working with. It's not the 3 that I use anymore, but Demeter, Persephone, and Hecate. That's if you really want to start with a trinity they get along well. They're known to be fairly easy to work with. You're going to be able to get a lot of information on them to be able to come at them from reverence and respect and know everything about them before you start working with that relationship. Those are going to be a really good 3 trinity to start with. Another way you'll see it, like I said, connecting to all women and womanhood, the connection of the divine feminine. I will also use it myself personally to be able to connect to any type of trinity that I need to in my life. So you can find different deities that will represent different aspects. So if I'm specifically really struggling with creativity and I look for 3 different aspects in my life that I need specifically to help with that creativity, I will pull deities that represent those 3 aspects, make sure that they're okay with getting along and having a conversation with them, and then I will work with those energies within that trinity. I do a lot of deity work with the trinity energy. You don't have to. I've gone over how you don't have to do that. You can work with it just with that mother, maiden, crone. You can work with it just with the moon phases. You can work with it so many different ways. But that's another way that you can do that. Like I said, bringing in those deities for specific things. Another one of my favorite trinity that I personally really like to use, because of how it connects to me, what it can bring to me. I use Persephone, and I use Amaterasu, and I use Hades. I am going to pull that out. I'm putting this out here like this is a divine feminine with a little bit of male energy in there because I am a gray witch and I wholeheartedly practice duality in my practice. And if you've been in my classes before, you've heard me talk about this before. I like to have that energy, that male energy always there and always represented. I have Persephone there because she's a patron deity for me. She also represents the dark goddess aspect. She represents the shadow self. And then I have Amaterasu there, which is there to represent the light aspects and that aspect of myself. So she brings in the light, the dark, and then I have the male energy there for my trinity. So that is another unique way that you can look at it, another unique way that you can use it. Like I said, that's personally how like I use it. I have a lot of great success with that. If I want all three male, all three female energies in there, I will sub out Hades and I will put in Nyx, or I will put in Hecate, or I will put in Keratin. Those three like really seem to like go well with the rest of those. Nyx, Hecate, and Persephone is a really fun combination too. Like those three really, really get along, and that's a really fun combination too. Just all the aspects and the stories that they tie together too, is amazing. And then like I think I've said it before, but just make sure that like deities are gonna get along if you are gonna pull them into this and if you're gonna pull them from others. So just make sure that deities will, like I said, that they're gonna get along. And then okay, just making sure. I don't think I have. Do you guys have any questions while I double check to make sure I haven't missed anything besides just kind of going over what's left for homework for you guys? You guys have any questions? What should I search up? Which trinity? It depends on what trinity you want to work with. The one that I had put in the study guide that's kind of like the most common and easy to start with, is going to be Demeter, Persephone, and Hecate. That's going to be like the most common one that I see people work with. They're going to be the one that you're going to have the most access to. They're going to be the easiest ones to work with. And they're a known triplet that already work well together, and they come from the same pantheon, which also makes it a little bit easier to work with. Okay, any other questions?
I have one.
Go for
What
it.
was the name of the goddess that tricked the god Ron? I missed her name.
Isis.
Oh, Isis. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question about the Trinity. I currently work with Isis, Hecate, and Lakshmi, and it was really awesome that you mentioned the three of them in this chat. What will be what will be the best practice that you can recommend for the Trinity? Any kind of particular in spells for like life improvements, or like what would you recommend working on that?
For spells for life improvements with those three, anything that would have to do with abundance.
Abundance. Okay.
Anything that would have to do with abundance would be amazing for those three deities specifically. Also, like coming up in November, like that's gonna be really good for you if you're working with those three. That's like Lakshmi's like time to shine, and like that's when abundance like really comes through for her. Hecate has the ability to do that as well, with her being like the deity of the crossroads. She can bring you so much abundance and like knowledge and wisdom and enlightenment. So that like that would be like abundance would be amazing with all three of those, because Isis represents that too with fertility and like all of that.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're super welcome. Oh, you never have to apologize for questions in the chat, by the way. You are totally fine. You can, I welcome all of them. And I teach these as if like you know nothing. Like I give you as much information as I possibly can. Like I teach this very from basics for you guys. So don't ever apologize. Okay. Yay, I love to hear that. Thank you. Okay, any other questions that you guys have before I go over the last little bit we have left in our study guide? Yes, those two work well together as well. Brigitte kind of prefers to be alone just because of like what she represents, but I have used those two together. They do work well together. But I would say that she does kind of prefer to. She carries a lot of weight, like especially in the Celtic pantheon. She carries a lot of weight. Isis does too in Egyptian. Okay, so we'll check. What do I have left for you? Okay, so what I have left in the study guide, I did put some basic moon work in there. Most of everything that's in there, if you've been to one of my moon rituals, you have heard these from me. So they are basic moon work, basic shadow work to work on. I do have some shadow work prompts in there. I would like for you guys to pick at least 3 to try to work with for the next week, from any of the choices that I have in here. These shadow work prompts are specifically on divine feminine. They're specifically on the divine feminine energy and healing and really looking at your divine, like really looking at that energy. So like I said, try to pick 3 and work with them throughout the week. You can pick some that are going to be hard and a challenge. You can pick easy ones. It's totally going to be up to you. And then I've left in there. I have some other ways in there that you can choose to connect to the triple goddess. Different ways through spell work. There is anointing oil. There is incense. There are different the goddess chant that I have in there, by the way, that is a very common Wiccan chant that they use, that is used. So if that is a path that you follow, that's why I have that one in there for you. You may have seen this one before, you may have heard it. I wanted to have like the most common one that's usually used in there. And then, so if you want to use any of these to try to connect with her, pick anything that you would like. You don't have to, because like I said, it's totally up to you guys when you guys are ready, and I want you guys to have the relationship developed before you try to like do any type of invoking, but you can use these to connect. I think I've gone through everything actually. We're good. I think I've given you guys your homework. I think I've gone through the study guide. Yeah. And like I said, I'm not gonna invoke or do any of that like I normally do in other classes. This is really was just teaching you this concept to bring into your practice. It's a very, very, very common practice. It's a lot. And like I said, it comes across almost every religion, every spirituality it can be used with. So all right, guys. What pantheon is that? I've seen Mara used in a couple different ways. No, I don't know if I have. I have so many resources, and I have so many books on deities and pantheons. If I can't find it, I probably only know of 2 other people who might know. So I will look to see if I can find any information. There's thousands of deities, so I'm bound to learn new ones. I'll see what I can find. And if I can't find something, like I said, I have probably 2 other people that have access to more books and PDFs than I do. Which sounds nuts to me, but I will see if I can find out anything else. Do I see any other questions? Anything? Anyone have beginners tips for beginners to learn with? It all depends on what path you're going on. So my number one tip is start focusing on working with your energy, any energies that are around you, noticing things that pop up around your life on a very repetitive basis. And then anything that calls to you, pulls out to you, and like piques your interest, make note of it. And that's a topic that you need to study. You need to look into and see if it's a path that you need to follow. If you want to do deity work, you can start to look into just anything that calls to you. Like I have had, yeah, start with your energy first. Typically, that's usually most people, they start with their energy. And that's how they'll start to connect to this path. But everybody comes to this path very differently. I started with deity work. Deities called to me first before I started doing any of the chakra and any of the chakra alignment and the auras and like any of the intuition and any of that. It was deities that came to me first. But I know many practitioners that that's not how it happened to them. Many of them, it started with energy. A lot of them, it started with a divination tool plopping into their lap, and they like just were really good at it, and it like was drawn to them. I know of a lot of practitioners where just a specific book and tome fell into their lap, and it was just a topic that they absolutely fell in love with. Because I mean, after deities, I am very, very well studied in mirror magic. And that was the next plane that I went down, and that's not very common. So everybody's path is very, very different. Someone's really just listening to your intuition and what's around you, what you can feel. Really look into tarot then. Super look into tarot. Start looking into auras and Reiki and chakra, like learning how to work with your chakra system and other people's chakra system and understanding your chakra system. I mean, I don't know how many times I've done chakra realignment programs. Like I have done so many chakra realignment programs just on myself, and I've been studying for 15 years. I just finished my most recent chakra realignment boot camp with a shaman from that works with Pachimama. So like oh yes, always learning and doing energy work. Were you doing any work? Yep, I plan on it. I plan on it. I am touching pretty much any basics and a lot that you'll never think about. I will be doing mirror magic, by the way, in December. That's a controversial topic, but I am teaching it. I don't know why it's controversial. I disagree with why it is. Okay, any other questions? Okay. Thank you so much for being with me, guys. I really, really appreciate it. And I also noticed before coming to class, you guys get to be with me for 4 days in a row. So I'll see you tomorrow, because tomorrow is my class on sacred contracts, Akashic records, and fate and destiny, and all of that fun stuff, which that comes from so many different pantheons and so many different places. And I will also give you ways to find out your own person. Oh, I record every single one of my classes. Every single one of my classes will always be recorded, and they will always get posted to YouTube eventually. So yes. And then Sunday we have Dark Goddess Devotionals. We're doing the Morrigan this week. She is fascinating. Okay. So again, thank you so much. And if this was your first class, please find us on Facebook and enroll. You get access to so much, our Facebook chats and our community, and like so many resources. So yes, please just come and find us. Have a good night, everybody.